Hello, Marietta back with another video. Y'all, guess what? This is what I was sitting here and I was thinking, and I figured I would share this with somebody because I think somebody needs to hear this. When we start thinking about the fact of what's going on in the land and all the layoffs that's taking place, and there not being no jobs and no homes, and the younger people feeling though that they coming out of college, they won't be able to start their life. Oh, you know what? I truly encourage them to go where they feel as though that they can begin their new life. Why should they be robbed out of their life and out of their youth for years and out of a chance to be able to build themselves a family and be able to have a job and be able to live a productive life? Right now, I got to thinking about this thing and I said, are we being set up for the U.S. to be just a retirement state for the elderly, the grumpy, and the poor? I mean, what are we doing here? I can see right now that there's no way in the world you're going to get our Gen Zs, our younger people, to stay in this type of situation, nor should you want them to. If you have to relocate with your children, I understand. I really, truly do understand, because you want them to have a safer life. You don't want them to have all this negative stress, and you have to put a pill in their mouth because of the fact now they done picked up anxiety, stress, and depression behind what is going on. I mean, it's too much for the adults to deal with, let alone your college students coming out of college as they get ready to graduate, and they got to deal with the fact that there's no jobs. They got to deal with the fact that they can't buy a home. They got to deal with the fact that they can't live their life and they can't live their youth for years and have their years robbed and stolen away from them. I think it's best for them to even figure out where they can go and try to take their money and begin to start a life somewhere else. I really understand it now. I really do. Why? Because there's no need for them to sit behind and have all that education wasted when they got to pay for them student loans, and they've took the time and put that time in, and they put their years in. Yeah, they may not want to leave their family, and some of the family, y'all may have to get up and go with them. I understand it, because so many people, I mean, it's almost like it's the trending thing to do now for people to be heading out of here, and they're headed to Italy, they're headed to Australia, they're headed to Thailand, they're headed to Belize. They just headed up out of anywhere besides here, because they feel as though that even when you walk out your door, you know the stress and the tension is so high, you can cut it with a knife. I mean, you can go to your local grocery store and you can see the stress on the people's faces. You can see that they're walking around so tight, and you don't want your children to have to carry that stress, carry that depression, when they had nothing to do with this. They had nothing to do with this. It's almost like saying they would be punished. If and so they stay here, they would be punished for a problem that they did not create. The older people may be able to deal with a little more. They may be able to suffer through it. Why? Because they have already suffered and worked through a lot. But to ask our young folks to stay behind and deal with this is it's just too much. It's too much. And they're not going to be able to deal with that. And I can see that right now, because when I was out and about today, I talked to several young people, and even talking to the nurses at the hospital and seeing how they are dealing with the situation. And some of them have husbands that are laid off now without no pay, so they'll have to pick up the slack, and they're thinking of the same thing. They were talking to me today about some of them are planning on, as we know, the hospitals are already working short staff. Now, for them to have husbands that are already laid off due to the government shutdown, so they're already laid off, may not get no pay, and so that's kind of hard for a family. And then the ones that do have teens that they have raised right, that they're trying to get them through school and get them through college and get them out in the world to be able to be productive citizens, and for them to be able to buy a home and live on their own, and to feel free when they walk outdoors, don't have to feel like they got to look over their shoulder, or they don't feel stressed out every time they walk outdoors, and they got to see a bunch of sad faces, and they got to be dealing with gloom and gloom all day long for the rest of their lives. That could be too much for them to deal with, because they're young, they're youthful, they want to enjoy their life. They got a lot to smile about. They got a lot to laugh about. It's just in them, and you can't take their smile and turn it upside down to a frown and make them old and grumpy at a very early age, when they just trying to find themselves. They're just trying to find themselves. They're trying to find love. They want to build a home. You remember how you were when you was that young, and you was in your 20s and your 30s, and you wanted to get out, and you wanted to go to the club, and you wanted to be able to enjoy yourself, and you didn't want to have to feel like you got to look over your shoulder, and you wanted to connect with people, and you want to have friends. Well, it's like saying they will be robbed of that if they stay here in America the way America is right now, because they're not making friends. They're not connected. Everybody's separated. There's so much division in the land plan right now to the point where that would stress them out at their age, because they're not built for that. They're built to have fun right now. They're not in that thinking of, now I got to settle down, now I got to do this and I got to do that. They want to go to school, they want to start their job, they want to be excited. They're on the weekend, they want to be able to put their two pieces on, they want to get in their nice cars, and they want to be able to get with their friends, and they want to go out and enjoy life and enjoy dinner. But they can't even do that here. Why? Because everybody's talking about how nasty and how tainted the food is everywhere. Our young people are not going to deal with this. They're not going to deal with this. Yeah, we old. We know how to make a biscuit. We know how to go sit down. We done lived our life. Is it fair for us to try to make them feel as though that they got to give up their life now to go through this foolishness as we as older folks are dealing with this? No, I don't think it's fair. I think they need to actually pack their bags, and I think they need to go ahead, and when they finish school, I think they need to go to another state where they can get a job, where they can begin to live, where they can begin to be productive, where they don't have to walk around stressed, and they don't have to see all these sad faces. They don't have to ask all the questions of why this, and why that, and why this, and why are we going through this, and this, that, and the other thing. I really believe that if they were to put their time and effort into trying to figure out a lot of what's happening, they will waste a lot of their years, a lot of their youthful years. And then you got to look at the fact that we've had our children. Our children are grown. We don't want our own grown children to be going through this. But yet our children have been grown enough. They've been on, but let me speak for my own. Mine have been on the job long enough that mine already know how to travel. Mine already know what to do if they decided it got too rough on them. We already know what to do. But this new generation is coming up. If you don't show them and you don't teach them, this is why I say, parents, some of y'all may have to travel with your children and start showing them something different so that they can be able to get out there and know which way to go in the midst of this thing. Because if you don't, their friends are definitely going to try to get them to go with them in different areas. And you want to know where your children are. You want to make sure you understand why they're moving and that they are going, and see where they're living at, and see what areas they're going to be in, because you know there's bad areas everywhere. And so therefore, if they're going to start a new life outside of the U.S. and they have to get a passport and they have to begin to travel, I really believe that before they start out, you should travel with them a little bit and let them see exactly what the world looks like outside of the U.S. Because we have neighborhoods. I've always had neighborhoods that were retirement states, retirement areas where all the older folks be. Even when you got grandmama and grandpapa's old house, or mom and dad's old house for that matter, and the kids grow up and they go off to college, and God forbid mama and daddy pass, they don't want them old houses. No, they want their modern day life. They want their life that they have grown up into, with the granite countertops, the stainless steel refrigerators. They want them beautiful homes. They want a nice, clean home. They don't want to have to buy a piece of junk for $200,000 and they stuck in one place where they can't move and they can't begin to grow. Why? Because the grown folks couldn't get it together here. You got the Democrats fighting with the Republicans, Republicans fighting with the Democrats. These kids ain't got time for that. They ain't got time to be putting their lives on hold to deal with that type of stuff. They want to go ahead and enjoy their life. They want to come, like I said, they want to come out of school. They want to meet the love of their life. They want to go enjoy life, or they just want to go enjoy life, even if they're going by themselves. They do not want to deal with these old-fashioned problems that we have here. This stuff would make them sick to their stomach because they're too young to be dealing with it. But as far as us old folks, we have no problem with going to sit down because we tired. We tired anyway. We done already been there and done that. So telling us to go eat some beans and rice, okay, maybe we need to eat some beans and rice. It might unbig some of our backs. We might need to go sit down and look up, and we've been along some ways. But let me tell y'all something. Stop trying to force this type of lifestyle on your children that are coming out of college, because they're not going to put up with it. They're going to rebel. They're going to fight back. So you got to think about that. I know you might want them home to take care of you. I know you might want them to be there for you, but you have already lived your life. Do not try to stifle these kids' life by holding them down, because you don't know what to do with yourself in the midst of this storm. They don't know what to do with you either in the midst of this storm. They love you, but allow them to go ahead and live their life. There are some like-minded people your own age that are around you that can help you get to where you need to be, and do not put the burden on them. If they want to take care of you and they want to be there for you, that's one thing. But God knows, I don't care what we go through or how we go through it. As grown adults, as old as we are with our grown 60-year-old selves, we got to understand that these children are coming out of college and they want to go and live their life. This is why I try to tell y'all all the time, speak to these kids, let these kids know exactly what is going on, because they're not babies. These are grown adults that are trying to live their life, and they're not going to be able to live it in that retirement area because they're not retired. They're just turning up. They're trying to get their, as they say, just trying to get their freak on. home. They're trying to live their life. They're trying to get out there and enjoy life and see what life has for them. We have already been there and done that. So we got to think about that when we start talking about why our children are packing up, why our young ones are packing up, and they're headed to these different countries and different states and different cities. They're moving out of here. All they know is they're leaving out of here. They want to go to where they can enjoy life and where they don't have to worry about not being able to buy a home, or not being able to have children, or not being able to get married, or they don't want to live under all this rules and regulations at this age. They got out of mom and daddy house so they can get rid of rules and regulations. They don't want to be thrown into a society that's full of more rules and regulations that is going to stop them from enjoying their life, and stop them from being productive in life, and stop them from using the very education that they have paid so hard for. These degrees that they have paid for, worked for, put in time for, stayed up all hours of the night. They have crammed for these tests. They have passed the test, and now they have passed the test and they're ready to go on with their life. Who are we as adults? Who are we as our old self? Who is we to tell these young people that they can't begin their life, they can't have their life, and they got to do what? Start working for old people and lose their youthful years fooling with us. Let's just call the thing a thing. We might as well say it the way it is. We might as well say it the way it is, because if I had children coming out of college right now and they were telling me that they wanted to get their passport, they would have my blessing. They would have my blessing. Why? Because I know they would have to do that to go learn something else. That's just the way it is. So I pray that y'all would take this message and y'all would get some understanding and allow these. I mean, it may be trending. It sounds trending because everybody, grown and old, young and old, are talking about leaving the U.S. It's nothing big. It's nothing new. Some people just can't stand it. They just can't take it. They can't take waking up to all this stress and all this pressure every morning. They cannot take it. It's putting a lot of pressure on the brain, a lot of stress on the brain. It's making them feel some type of way. Some of them is putting anger. They're not used to being angry. They don't want to be angry over nobody else's stuff. They don't want to wake up angry every morning. They don't want their little ones to wake up seeing them angry. This is causing a lot of division in the families, causing mom and dads to be angry, causing them to feel some type of way to the point where they don't want to wake up to all this gloom and gloom every single day. I understand it. I get it. And if you want to feel as though that you want to take your family and go somewhere else where you could be safe, you got my blessing, and I don't see nothing wrong with that. So don't let nobody make you feel like you are doing wrong because of the fact, or they look at you like you jumping ship, or you leaving, or you're not standing for America, this, that, and other thing. You take your family, you go wherever you feel you need to go, because even in the word over there in Genesis somewhere, y'all go look it up, it talks about leaving them from around your kinfolks and go to a place where God will lead you, and he will show you where you will be, and your footsteps will be ordered in that land, and you will grow and you will mature right there in whatever land it is that God takes you to. You will be protected right there. So I'm just here to uplift, motivate, and inspire you, and let you know that there's nothing wrong with you taking your children wherever you feel that they're going to be safe. If you can't send them to school and they can't be safe, they can't go buy a house, they can't leave your house, and you think that they're going to be safe by going by another house, because then you're going to worry about them. So if it's in a place where they're looking to go and you're looking to help them get there, then y'all be blessed. You got my blessing. So with that being said, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if and so you have not turned your notification bells on, please turn your notification bells on so that you will be notified when I drop my next video. Y'all be blessed.